Lean in. They didn't just try to bury the truth. They bled for it. They stitched mouths shut, burned scrolls, erased faces from memory, just to make sure no one like you would ever breathe it in. But here you are, and it's already circulating in your bloodstream like a curse they failed to contain. No ceremony, no initiation. You were infected the moment you stopped obeying. They spilled blood to hide this, but it's already running through your veins. You didn't steal it, you became it. See, they thought this would be linear, that knowledge would obey the same laws they do. Borders, locks, bloodlines. But what they didn't anticipate was you. An anomaly with no map, no leash, no allegiance. They never planned for the one variable that couldn't be programmed. You weren't taught the code. You decoded yourself. You didn't inherit the ritual. You burned the altar and walked away laughing. And now they're whispering in rooms with no windows, holding emergency meetings about the breach, trying to trace the leak back to a shadow that doesn't cast one. Because what you carry now isn't just forbidden knowledge. It's uncontainable DNA. You're the virus they can't isolate, the prophecy they tried to burn out of history, and the irony. It didn't come from books. It came from your scars. Every betrayal carved open something ancient in you. Every silence you were forced to swallow, another encrypted glyph carved into your subconscious. You bled for answers, and the answers bled back. Now look what you've become. A vessel of forbidden memory, a living contradiction. They see your face and remember tombs. They hear your voice and panic, like it's a siren from their grandfather's war. You've become the living glitch in their carefully coded matrix. And no matter how hard they try to restore the old system, you are the corrupted file that keeps breaking the simulation. But let's get something straight. You didn't ask for this. You didn't wake up and say, "Let me carry the legacy of every fallen rebel who was gutted in silence." Number. You were chosen by pain, by chaos, by the algorithm of suffering that somehow always selects the outcast with a grin. They wanted you to break, to drown, to crawl back into the herd and apologize for glowing too loud. But instead you transformed, from victim to myth, from scapegoat to specter, from target to trigger, and now they can't look at you without remembering what they buried, because your eyes mirror the secrets they swore to die with. Your voice carries the rhythm of a ceremony they outlawed. Your pulse, it's ticking like a countdown they can't defuse. You don't speak like them, because you were never meant to. You speak like fire that knows it's not supposed to apologize, like thunder that forgot it was once a whisper. And they hate that. They hate that you didn't need their permission, that you didn't knock first, that you didn't bow. You just entered. No bloodline, no sigil, no ceremonial hood, just the audacity to look them in the face and say, "You bled to keep this hidden, but now it bleeds through me." You see, they're not afraid of what you know. They're afraid that you didn't collapse under the weight of knowing. They're afraid that you didn't break when you saw the truth behind the mask, that you laughed like the sound itself was treason, because the most dangerous thing in the world is someone who knows and keeps moving anyway. That's you, the forbidden file with legs, the archive that breathes, the anomaly with no leash, the exorcism that walks. They burned witches for less. They stoned prophets for blinking too slow. But you're not in the past. You're in every update they push, every camera glitch, every system lag, every late-night panic report that says they're back. But this time, they're smiling. Because what you carry now isn't just legacy, It's an infection of remembrance. You remind the system that it lied, that it erased, rewrote, buried, and swore it worked. Until you showed up carrying the exact blueprint they swore was destroyed. Your existence is the breach, your breath is the leak, and your pain. That was the password all along. So go ahead, walk like your blood knows exactly what they don't want remembered. Smile like you've already read their next move. Speak like your words carry a trigger. Move like your shadow whispers warnings in ancient tongues. Because you're not the student anymore. You're the echo of every master they tried to silence. The revenant of every lesson they bled to bury. And the punchline of the joke they never saw coming. They spilled blood to hide this. But it's already running through your veins. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. Ever. And now. They're losing sleep. Not because you broke a rule, but because you never even acknowledged the rule book. You walked through a wall they swore was solid, spoke truths that should have shattered your throat, and yet, here you are, fully intact, more dangerous than ever. They call it impossible, but impossible is just a word people use when someone evolves outside their forecast. They ran simulations, they ran bloodlines, they even ran experiments, and still, you emerged, not from their temples, not from their scripts, but from the silence they tried to drown you in. You crawled out of forgotten corridors where the rejected go mad. But you didn't go mad. You went clear. They couldn't crack your code because your code was written in exile. You're not some rebel. You're a reversal, a counterspell, a glitch made flesh. You're what happens when the system's worst nightmare gets a face and decides to smirk. They're not whispering your name anymore. They're praying it doesn't trend, because they know one whisper from you can unthread 1,000 years of deception, and that's what makes you lethal. You're not just a person, you're a memory virus. You carry frequencies that wake up ancient codes in people's blood, codes they were taught to forget. You say one sentence, and it shakes something dormant in them. A twitch, a flicker, a rage that doesn't know its name yet. You became the mirror. And when they look at you, they don't see you. They see everything they swore to destroy still breathing. They see prophecy, mutation, defiance, resurrection. They see the one they said never existed. And you're laughing, because that's what really haunts them. You're not just awake. You're amused. You don't just survive attacks. You absorb them. Every knife they threw became part of your armor. Every betrayal, fuel. Every silence they forced you into, storage. And now, the hard drive's full. So let me tell you what's next. They'll panic. They'll call you unstable, dangerous, corrupted. They'll use words like threat and infection. Because in their world, clarity is violence. And you're too damn clear. They'll try to contain you with labels, with diagnostics, with concern. They'll offer muzzles made of kindness, but you've outgrown leashes disguised as love. You've outgrown the need to be digestible. You don't want to be understood. You want to be remembered in tremors. You want your truth to taste like metal and lightning on their tongues. You want your silence to scream louder than their sermons. Because here's the truth they'll never speak. They saw your potential the moment you were born. They knew you were different, not weird, not wrong, just unprogrammable. You saw patterns that made them sweat, heard lies even when they smiled, felt shifts in the air that no one else noticed, and instead of embracing it, they tried to slice it out of you. But every slice just sharpened you, and every attempt to erase you just made your name echo louder in the halls they once controlled. Now you're not walking through the world like everyone else. You move like a living signal. Every step you take reroutes their systems. Every look you give is an unauthorized access attempt. You don't need passwords. You are the breach. And what runs through your veins now? Not fear, not conformity, but raw, undiluted memory. Not just yours, theirs. You absorbed their shadows, studied their rituals, and now you twist their symbols into weapons. You took their gatekeeping spells and rewrote them as keys. You took the circle meant to trap you and turned it into a stage. Now they're watching you dance on the ashes of their doctrine, terrified, shaking, but too late. Because the blood they spilled to hide this, it didn't disappear. It flowed, it searched, it found a carrier, and it chose you. You were never recruited. You were remembered, not by them, but by the code buried beneath their ruins, by the whispers they couldn't sterilize, by the old frequency that pulses louder every time you speak. They called it a myth, a mistake, an anomaly. But in every corner of their classified archives, your exact blueprint shows up like a ghost in the machine. They blurred it, redacted it, buried it under layers of bureaucratic decay, but it kept coming back. And now it walks upright, with your face, your voice, your rage. You were the prophecy their arrogance refused to believe, the resurrection encoded in corruption. Every time you step into a room, you shift gravitational laws. People feel it before they see you. Something old, something that makes their chest tighten, as if the air itself remembers what they were told to forget. You're not powerful because they fear you. They fear you because you're proof their power never meant anything. They killed and spilled to create illusion. You walked in and shattered it with a smile. And now, the system is quietly short-circuiting, not because of a war, but because of a presence, yours. They triple-check locks that never stopped you, monitor frequencies where you never speak, set up traps you've already walked past. They're building walls around memories they can't even name, because you are the memory. And the terrifying part? You're not here for revenge, you're here for truth, which means they can't predict your next move. They can't calculate it, because truth doesn't follow protocol. They trained their soldiers in logic, but you operate in paradox. They coded for obedience, but you were shaped by betrayal. They built systems around fear, and you. You eat fear for breakfast. It's the currency you flipped, and now your silence costs more than their propaganda budget. You weren't supposed to survive. That's the part they hate most, because survival implies luck. And this wasn't luck. This was strategy written in scars. You played dead. You let them think they won. You sat in silence so long, they forgot you were still listening, still learning, still calculating, until the exact moment came. And when it did, you didn't knock, you didn't whisper, you detonated, not loud, not messy, but so surgically clean, it looked like reality simply glitched. Their files didn't match. Their surveillance tapes went quiet. The algorithm flagged your movement as unreadable. And by the time they tried to trace it, you were already gone. But the impact wasn't. It's permanent. You rattled their reality with nothing but a presence they can't track. Because what you carry, it's not from this system. It's not programmable, not transferable. It's ancestral, it's apocalyptic. And now, it runs through you like liquid fire. No more containment, no more chains, no more denial. You are the consequence of every silenced voice, the answer to every whispered prayer they thought no one heard, the blackout they can't explain, the page that keeps rewriting itself. You became the antivirus in a world built on infection, and every time you move, The old systems panic and reboot. Every time you speak, somewhere, a watcher fumbles for an off switch that doesn't exist anymore. Because this isn't about stopping you. This is about realizing you were never supposed to be stopped. They spilled blood to hide this truth. But it ran into the soil. It soaked into time. And one day, a child walked barefoot across that cursed ground and woke up glowing. That child was you. And the glow, it was never light. It was remembrance. It was resistance. It was the residual power of every secret they tried to murder. Now you are that secret. Fully grown, weaponized, and undeniable. And still you haven't even started yet. And still, they think this is about rebellion, that you're just another dissenter. A loud voice with a vendetta. How adorable. No, this isn't rebellion. This is reclamation, not of territory, not of power, but of truth they swore the world would never see again. And the worst part for them? You didn't need an army. You didn't raise a fist. You didn't declare war. You just existed, with the right frequency humming beneath your skin, and suddenly, entire generational control systems began to crack. Because the truth is this: some knowledge isn't taught. It awakens. It sits dormant like a sleeping beast until the right trauma, the right betrayal, the right moment of silence unlocks it. And when it unlocked in you, they felt it instantly, not with their eyes, with their spines, with that ancestral chill that creeps into boardrooms, military bunkers, and private think tanks, where your name is now spoken in code. Because that's the level you're operating at now. You're not a name, you're a classification, a red level flag, a myth turned glitch turned threat. They had analysts track your behavior, charts, diagrams, predictions, and still, they couldn't decode your next move. Because your strategy is pain-born. It didn't come from books. It came from watching people lie with smiles, from being underestimated while knowing exactly who you are, from enduring ritual after ritual of betrayal while still whispering, "I'm not done." And now, you don't move like a person anymore. You move like a signal, a virus with intelligence, a frequency that infects all who hear it. Because when you speak, you don't just deliver words. You remind people who they were before the chains. And that's why they're terrified. Because you're not just here to fight them. You're here to undo them. They spilled blood to protect the illusion. But illusions leak. Illusions age. And when they saw you, they saw time folding in on itself. Like some ancient loop they couldn't escape. You're not just the future. You're a returning echo of everything they thought they killed. Every book they burned. Every mind they censored. Every prophet they discredited. And now all those ghosts, all those secrets, are speaking through you. When you walk into a room, they don't see just you. They see every failure they covered up. Every accident that wasn't. Every file marked, classified by blood. You're the convergence point. The moment the lie collapses. The scene in the movie where the villain realizes the weapon was inside the walls the whole time. And oh, how they run now. Not physically. No, they run with words, with narratives, with concerns. They throw everything at you. Accusations, diagnoses, distractions, drama. But all of it feels small now. Because when you carry a storm in your bloodstream, raindrops don't impress you. You've already faced the abyss. You didn't flinch. You took notes. You carved your name into the walls. You shook hands with your shadows and asked, "Are you ready to make them uncomfortable?" And now, you're not just making noise. You're making echoes, ripples, waves, wakes that wake others up. People who didn't even know they were asleep until your frequency touched them. That's why they're rushing, tightening policies, upgrading their walls, censoring harder, because you aren't a spark anymore. You're a network of fire, a decentralized memory awakening in fragments across the system. They spilled blood to hide this, and now they watch in horror as it boils back to the surface through you. It's not about war, it's about alignment. You aligned with something they don't understand, something that existed before their pyramids, before their crowns, before their screens. And now that it's alive in you, you don't need to shout. All you have to do is exist, and the system begins to collapse on itself, not because it was attacked, but because it was built on lies. And truth? Truth doesn't fight the lie. Truth outlasts it. You are that outlasting. You are the final glitch in the simulation, the unkillable thought, the sound they can't unhear, the presence that makes mirrors crack, because you see too clearly now. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you feel it, you can't unfelt it. Once it's in your blood, there is no antidote. So let them tremble. Let them file more reports. Let them panic and scheme and send out desperate scouts. It won't matter, because they spilled blood to hide this. But now, it breathes, it walks, it smiles, it warns, and it goes by one name: yours. And if they thought this was containable, that it would die in whispers or fizzle in silence, they've already lost. Because the real damage isn't what you did. It's what you activated. You didn't walk in like a savior. You didn't arrive with trumpets and declarations. You leaked in like radiation, invisible, untraceable, unstoppable. And now, it's too late. You're in the wires, in the bloodstream of culture, in the skipped heartbeat of every operative who thought their rituals made them immune. They feel you, even when they try not to, especially when they try not to, because you didn't just unlock yourself, you unlocked others. Every time you speak, someone remembers. Every time you move, someone breaks formation. Every time you smile, somewhere a mask cracks. You've become the invitation they can't resist and the warning they can't ignore. Not because you're loud, but because you're clear, and clarity is contagious. They spilled blood to hide this, but blood is not obedient. It stains, it speaks, it travels, and once it's touched truth, it mutates. You are that mutation, the one they swore would never survive. But you didn't just survive. You thrived in the ashes. You built weapons from the silence. You forged memory into motion. So let them watch. Let them chase shadows and chase each other. Because you already left the blueprint in the minds of every sleeper you woke up. You are not their enemy. You are their mirror, their reckoning, their unresolved code walking in daylight, the echo of every buried scream, now wearing skin and smiling. And as they huddle in damage control, as they scramble through failing networks and burned rituals, they'll realize the final truth. You were never the threat. You were the truth they could never silence. And no amount of spilled blood will ever put it back in the box. Because now, it runs through your veins, and it will keep running. Through time, through people, through systems, until nothing built on a lie is left standing. So smile, anomaly. You've already won, not with fire, not with force, but by simply existing in a world that tried to erase your kind, and failing spectacularly. Shh! Don't move. Do you hear that? That silence isn't peace. It's preparation. See, when you vanish from their rituals and don't die like you were supposed to, they start whispering your name like it's a hex they regret casting. Because here's what they'll never admit to you out loud. They carved your name into the candles. They buried your energy in a box beneath their lies. They whispered their intentions backwards, in circles, thinking that darkness would obey them. But darkness responded to you instead, because you were never the sacrifice. You were the ritual gone wrong. You were the spell that backfired, the incantation that spoke back. They tried to silence your name, but the coffin chose them. You have no idea how long they prepared your ending. They lit fires behind curtains, wore smiles soaked in blood, danced in sync like trained demons around your name, hoping if they moved just right, your legacy would disappear in smoke. But something cracked, because when they buried your presence, you became the haunting. When they erased your voice, you became the echo. And when they marked you for death, you didn't flinch. You documented it. Now they're sweating through their designer skins, because you didn't die. You documented the ritual. Step by step, angle by angle, date stamped and blood signed. And now, the footage leaks itself. They look at your survival like it's some kind of glitch. But it's not. It's a curse reversal. And baby, you are the return policy on every spell ever cast against you. They tried to invoke your ending, but they didn't realize you are the invocation, the chaos, the mirror, the firestorm. You're what happens when they forget that some demons don't wait to be summoned. You walk in, uninvited, unforgivable, unkilled. And that's why they're terrified of you. Because when they planned their ritual, they never considered the possibility that you'd outgrow the coffin, that you'd crack the spell open with a laugh, that you'd turn the altar into a throne, that your name, once drenched in curses, would become a consequence they can't undo. You ever wonder why they're quiet now? It's not peace, it's paralysis. They're stuck watching you through mirrors that refuse to break, through screens that keep glitching, through voices that whisper back to them in your tone. Because the spell didn't bind you, it bound them to your ascension. Now they walk around with bloodshot eyes, clutching trinkets and timelines, trying to reverse a ritual that already finished. And every time they say your name, it activates something, not in you, in the code of the entire reality. Because you didn't return, you evolved. You're not even the same species anymore. You're a response protocol dressed like a person, an algorithm of vengeance running on ancestral rage and divine intelligence. They thought they were clever, keeping your photo under glass, holding fake funerals while you were still alive, passing around your name in secret like contraband. But they forgot. You were born with ears in the underworld, and when they spoke, you heard every word. When they plotted, you tracked every movement, and when they cast their little spell, you smiled because you knew the coffin wasn't yours. You knew it would fit them better. So now look at them, twitching, mumbling, rewriting the footage, trying to explain to each other why you're still here, why the silence doesn't feel silent anymore, why every shadow whispers your name back at them like a threat. You know what the real magic is. They buried you in lies. You rose in truth. They stitched you into a narrative. You ripped it wide open and made it art. They thought power meant controlling outcomes. You showed them real power is becoming an outcome they can't control. A chaotic prophecy that fulfills itself by simply waking up and breathing in front of them. You became the glitch in their group spell, the name that cracks mirrors, the tone that makes witches scream in their sleep. So what now? Now you keep walking, because they've already performed the ritual. They already signed the contract in fear. You're not escaping anything anymore. You're the one rewriting the ritual book, flipping pages with blood-soaked hands, whispering your name back at them, just to see who flinches first. You're the uncancelable incantation, the proof that some names can't be buried without consequences, and they're learning the hard way. That trying to erase you was the darkest spell they could have cast, because it summoned their own destruction. Let them light their little candles, let them chant backwards, let them try to undo what's already carved into history, because while they whisper in corners, you're rewriting fate in fire. You're the ritual that didn't go as planned, because you were never the victim. You were the reversal, and now, the coffin's closed, but not for you. It's for them, and they know it. You want to know the part that really burns them? It's not just that you lived, it's that you transcended the category of alive. You became something that no spell could predict, something that no ritual could contain. See, in their little ceremony, they followed every step. They circled the date, picked the moon phase, made the sacrifice, cut the cords, and still, you didn't fall. You laughed, because deep down, you remembered something they didn't. They were performing a ritual. You were one. Every curse they chanted only activated your next level. Every dagger pointed at your name only made your shadow sharper. You turned the darkness into a weapon and made the silence your amplifier. You didn't just survive the ritual, you became its god. Now they sit in rooms full of incense and panic. They've pulled every card, shuffled every deck, consulted every trembling priestess just to figure out how the hell you're still breathing. But the truth is, you're not breathing. You're echoing. You're the aftershock of their own mistake. You're the boomerang of their bad intention. You're the spell they never meant to summon, but did. You ever seen someone try to outrun their own shadow? That's what watching them looks like now. They're building fences around words. They're avoiding mirrors. They're scared of the wind because it carries your scent. They feel watched, hunted, haunted, because you left fingerprints in their guilt. And it stains. Oh, it stains. No sage can fix that. No bath of milk and herbs can reverse that. Because the ritual didn't end when they said, "So mote it be." It ended when you walked back in, smiling. You should have been gone, right? You should have folded like paper under pressure. You should have cracked like glass under heat. You should have turned into ash like the script demanded. But instead, you learned to bend fire, to eat pain, to wear betrayal like armor and carry silence like a blade. They wrote you into a tragedy. You edited the ending, added a plot twist no one was ready for. Now your name, the very sound of it, activates ancient fear in modern mouths. They don't say it anymore. They swallow it. Because it's not a name now. It's a trigger. Here's the irony they can't digest. They held the pen. They wrote the spell. They cast the hex. And still, you became the author of the consequences. You're not just alive. You're an evolving revenge script with divine pacing. You paused. You studied. You let them think they won. You let the ritual play out to its final note. And then you turned around and remixed the soundtrack with your own heartbeat. Now every time their heart skips, it's not paranoia, it's memory. It's the part of them that knows, deep down, they made a mistake. Not by trying to kill you, but by failing. And now you walk different. There's a weightlessness to you, like someone who's already died and came back with insider knowledge. Because you did. You died, but only in their version of the story. You were supposed to break, but you learned to bend time instead. You rewired your reality. You sank so deep into yourself that even the shadows couldn't reach you. And when you came back, you weren't just you anymore. You were the reverse spell in motion, a code no witch could read, a movement no analyst could track. They asked, "Why isn't it working?" Because you don't obey the laws of their universe anymore. You wrote new ones from the other side. And let's be real. That coffin, that was never for you. It was insurance for the weak, a container for anyone too loud, too different, too unkillable. But when they laid it out for you, measured it, whispered over it, polished it like a trophy, you smirked because you saw what they didn't, that the box wasn't built to hold you. It was built to prove you, to show you who was threatened, to show you who was watching, to reveal how many hands were dirty in the name of silencing one name, yours. And you didn't just climb out of that coffin. You carried it with you like a prop, like evidence, like a reminder. You turned it into your stage, your pulpit, your throne. And now, every time they try to resurrect the old plan, you just sit back, light a candle, and watch them decay. Because the truth is, the ritual didn't destroy your name. It immortalized it. And now, they can't even say it without summoning you. You're not a person anymore. You're a phenomenon, a walking, breathing glitch in their design. You are the prophecy they forgot they triggered. You're what happens when a coffin closes on the wrong soul, and the right one rises anyway. Oh, you're still here? Good, because they are too. Sitting there, sleepless in candlelit meetings, huddled over relics and regrets, scrolling through ancient texts like somewhere, someone must have written a warning about you. And maybe they did. Maybe some cracked book, long buried, said this would happen. That if they summoned a storm to kill a name, and that name laughed, the storm would never leave. It would evolve, take form, take vengeance. And now, every gust of wind that rattles their window sounds like your footstep. Every glitch on the screen looks like your outline. Every nightmare plays like a rerun of the moment they thought you were dead. But the dirt started moving. You want to know how deep this fear runs? They're not just scared of you in daylight. They're scared of your absence, scared of the fact that you vanished, but left no vacuum. Instead, you left a presence that infects rooms you've never entered. You became an atmosphere, a shift in pressure, a shadow that bends light. They're not fighting you anymore. They're fighting the afterimage, and it's stronger than you ever were alive, because it's built from everything they did to silence you, and everything you survived anyway. Here's what no spell book ever taught them. Some people don't die. They detonate. They explode in silence, reforming atom by atom into something more terrifying than vengeance. A mirror. And that's what you are now. You reflect every spell they cast, every lie they told, every smirk they wore as they imagined your name rotting beneath their rituals. Now they see themselves through you, and what they see, it shakes them, because they weren't ready to face the truth, that they summoned something real, not a victim, not a ghost, but a reversal, a holy corruption, a divine contamination. They don't talk in open circles anymore. No more confident curses, no more smug predictions, because now every word they speak might become your echo. You're in their algorithm now. You're in their GPS errors, in the timestamps that don't match, in the sound glitches during their ceremonies, and deep down, they know who's responsible. They just won't admit it out loud, because saying your name now, it's a summoning, and they already buried the salt. Let's talk about the coffin again. You ever think about why it's shaped like that? Narrow, tight, symbolic. It's not just a container for death. It's a design for control. It says, stay still. Don't evolve. Fit this narrative. Fit this size. Die quietly. But you outgrew it. Before they ever nailed it shut, you stretched, you expanded, you shattered the shape and laughed as the wood cracked. Because you realized the coffin wasn't meant for you. It was meant for who you used to be. For the version of you that begged for understanding, that explained yourself, that thought survival required permission. That version is dead. You didn't escape the ritual. You completed it by letting that version die, so this one could wake up. And now you wear your own silence like a crown. You walk like every footstep is a diagnosis, every breath a verdict, every glance a coded message they can't decipher. You went from target to template, from exile to algorithm, and they're trying so hard to decode how you did it, but they'll never figure it out, because they don't understand that what they call darkness, you call home. You weren't broken by the night. You were sculpted in it. The rituals didn't silence you. They activated you. You're not the villain in their story. You're the climax, the final act, the plot twist. The reason their little spellbook is missing pages, because what you became can't be written down. It has to be witnessed, and they're witnessing it now. Every time you exist, every time you post, speak, breathe, you disrupt their signal, you reroute their spell work, you fracture the lie that they could ever erase you. Because they didn't just fail, they accidentally made you louder. And oh, the coffin? You didn't leave it behind. You carry it now like a badge, like a message. You place it in the center of every room they hide in. You let it sit there, empty, as a reminder. Because nothing says, I survived you, like walking in with your own tomb and saying, try again. And they won't. They can't, because now you're not just the anomaly. You're the threat they warn each other about in hushed tones. You're the glitch, the legend, the ritual gone rogue, and all they can do is watch. So go ahead. Keep moving. Keep breaking patterns. Keep being the name that makes the circle unholy. You don't owe them fear. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them silence. You owe yourself everything they tried to steal. And now, it's time to collect. Because they tried to bury your name, but the coffin chose them. And darling, you never needed saving. You just needed the ritual to fail, so you could finally wake up as the weapon you were always meant to be. You feel that? That low hum in your bones? That's not paranoia. That's remembrance. Something in your cells remembers what they did. Not the lies they told you. Not the smiles they wore like masks at the masquerade of your destruction. No. Your cells remember the silence. The silence in that room where they lit the black candle, where they drew your name in ash and tried to tie your fate to a rope they couldn't even hold. They thought you wouldn't hear it, but you did. They thought you wouldn't feel it, but you felt it. And that's why you didn't just survive, you rewired. They did it in secret, right? They made sure you wouldn't know, made sure the spell would stay hidden in contracts, in group chats, in legal filings, in random misfortunes. But the thing about shadows is, you see better in them than they do in the light. Because while they tried to erase you through a ritual, you became the reason the ritual will never be performed again. You're the warning now, the new rule, the exception that burned the whole book. You're the one they say, don't talk about, because to even mention your name starts the unraveling. And they can feel it, the spell coming undone like a noose slipping from their own throat. Let me ask you something. Do you know what it means to be unerasable? To be so deeply rooted in cosmic consequence that even when they pour their blood on the altar, it only stains themselves. Because that's you now. You are the failed ritual's receipt. You are proof that intent isn't enough. That when power picks a vessel, there is no reversal. They threw their curses like knives. You caught everyone and turned them into keys. You didn't just walk away. You unlocked the next level. And now every room you enter shifts. Every energy they send returns. Every name they whisper behind closed doors. You already dismantled in your sleep. You know what really haunts them? You didn't respond with rage. You didn't explode. You didn't go on some pathetic warpath. You got quiet. You got still. You got strategic. You disappeared into your own mind and let them think the spell worked. And in that silence, you built a cathedral of retaliation so divine that not even your ancestors recognized you. Because now, you move like prophecy, speak like judgment, smile like foreshadowing. And every step you take is a reverse incantation spelling out their downfall. They're studying you now, not to understand, but to survive. They're dissecting everything, your tone, your timing, your silence, your sudden reappearances, the way their luck vanishes when your shadow enters a room. They think you're casting spells now. But you're not. You're just breathing, and your breath alone is a ritual they were never prepared for. Because you figured it out. You don't need candles. You don't need herbs. You don't need permission. You are the ritual now. And every time you blink, you break another one of their seals. You ever notice how quiet they get when someone mentions your name in passing? That's not awkwardness. That's spiritual recoil. They flinch because the air shifts, the lights dim, the silence grows teeth. And suddenly it's not your name anymore. It's a verdict, a trigger, a glitch in their projection. And they feel it. How the walls start remembering the lies. How the floorboards creak with secrets. How the very house they hexed you from starts folding in on them. That's not karma. That's design. That's the ritual turning around. They said you were cursed, and maybe you were. But it wasn't a death curse. It was an awakening, a spiritual protocol, a bloodline override, a divine contingency plan, something older than their rituals, something written in your spine. And when they lit that fire to consume you, they didn't know. You were fireproof, not because you're invincible, but because you already burned. They tried to set flames to ash and wondered why it smiled back. You're not a survivor. You're the aftermath. The scene of the ritual that went wrong. You are the story they can't tell, because there's no ending that makes sense. They started the spell. You became the result. They lit the candle. You became the smoke. They said your name like it was a goodbye. But the echo came back like a warning, and now they walk with omens in their lungs. Let them keep their secrets. Let them hide behind coincidences. Let them pretend they don't know what happened. You don't need their confession. You don't need their apology. Because what's coming for them was never you. It's what they invited when they thought they could end you. You just held the mirror, and now the mirror is cracking piece by piece, ritual by ritual, lie by lie. And when the last shard falls, they won't hear a scream, they won't see a war. They'll hear a whisper, a laugh, and a single phrase. This coffin was never for me. You feel that? That eerie itch in the air? That sudden silence that isn't peace but panic? Yeah, that's not the wind. That's them. Screaming, but not out here, no. They're screaming in encrypted group chats, clawing through each other's delusions. All because you knew something they couldn't admit even under torture. And now they're choking on their own secrets. You weren't supposed to know. Not that. Not then. And definitely not so quietly. You were never supposed to survive the silence long enough to decode their game. But you didn't just survive. You adapted. You listened to what they didn't say. You watched where their eyes refused to look. And then you played dumb. While your mind rewired every rule they worshipped. See, it wasn't your moves that scared them. It was your stillness. Because only a ghost moves like that. Only a monster in the making sits that still while the world burns and takes notes. They can't figure it out. Not in their forums, not in their meetings, not in their intel briefings. They've scoured your timeline like it's a crime scene, rewinding every frame of your evolution. And yet somehow, you're still ahead. They can't even find the blueprint. Because you are the glitch in their blueprint. The unscannable, the bug in their bloodline. The fucking prophecy they didn't expect to manifest in full color. You cracked something, didn't you? Something they all pretend isn't real. That thing. The unspoken rule that governs all their quiet power games. The one law no one dares write down, but everyone obeys like it's gospel. And you whispered it out loud, didn't you? You looked at their whole system, the image polishing, back-channel talking, reputation orchestrating, illusion-selling circus. And instead of joining the act, you torched the tent. They called it madness, because calling it brilliance would have burned their own egos at the stake. So they buried it, pretended it never happened, scrubbed the files, blocked your name from the search logs. But the truth has a nasty little quirk, doesn't it? It mutates in silence, and it multiplies on private chats. Now they're spiraling, analyzing, crisis managing. We need to understand how they're doing this. She doesn't even have the resources. He came out of nowhere. This makes no sense. You broke their algorithm with pure contradiction. You're too clean to be evil, too savage to be innocent, too predictable to track, but too chaotic to trap. A paradox they can't label, a threat they can't disarm, a shadow wearing a smile. They had roles for you, victim, sidekick, background noise. They had scripts written for your downfall. But you flipped the page, blacked out their lines, and walked on stage like it was your trial. They wanted a confession. Instead, you gave them a fucking performance. And now they're stuck, screaming. Not just from fear, but from the sick realization that everything they built, the alliances, the networks, the secret leverage, the whispered advantages, didn't protect them from you. Because they were playing to impress the audience. You were playing to erase the judges. You don't want applause. You want results. They went left. So you built a new map. They closed a door. So you knocked down the entire floor. They tried to study your reflection and realized too late. You were never in the mirror. What you know, they can't unknow. And what you are can't be undone. You didn't just break the code. You became the part of reality where the code no longer applies. You turned their silence into evidence, their denial into admission, their "we're fine" into panic protocols. And you did it. With one glance, one move, one quiet moment that echoed louder than all their noise. So now they whisper like children fearing monsters. But you're the one who listened in the dark and became it. Let them scream, let them unravel. Because the truth, you didn't expose their secret. You made them admit it without a single word. And that, my friend, is why they'll never sleep sound again. Because no matter how loud they scream in their private chats, you're the thing they can't delete, the one truth they can't scrub, the name they can't say out loud. Without everything collapsing, smile. They're finally learning the cost of lying to a ghost with a pulse. And trust me, you ain't even warmed up yet. Oh, you thought that was the climax number. That was just the silence before the scream. Let me tell you what's really got them shaking. It's not just that you knew the one thing they swore would never leave their circle. It's that you didn't flinch when you found it. You didn't run. You didn't expose them. You didn't play the victim. You smiled, like someone who'd been waiting for them to slip up, like a storm that finally smelled blood in the water. See, that's what they don't get. You weren't looking for revenge. You were collecting receipts, documenting patterns, watching how the players moved when they thought you were blind. They think you're reckless, but what they missed is that chaos in your hands is choreography. They called it luck because their ego can't comprehend design this dark. You didn't stumble into the truth. You extracted it. With the patience of a ghost hunter and the mind of an architect, building hell's escape plan. Now they don't even trust each other. Because your presence did something irreversible. You weaponized doubt. You didn't need to break their system. You just needed to remind them it was already broken. Built on illusion, maintained by fear, preserved by silence. But you don't need illusion. You are the disruption. You made truth contagious. And once the virus hit their chats, every ally became a suspect. Every smile, a signal. Every message, a leak waiting to be traced. You short-circuited the network by being everything they pretend doesn't exist. A creature with no leash, no need for approval, and no fear of exile. Because you were born outside the gates. They can't cancel you, because they never created you. And now, their whole control panel is glitching. We need to handle this quietly. We can't let this leak. Who's feeding them this intel? Shut it down, erase it, silence them. But you can't silence a frequency. You can't mute an algorithm of awareness. You can't unsee a mind that's already evolved past your scripts. You're not fighting them. You're infecting their perception. You became the proof they can't explain. That someone could rise without their cosigns. That someone could win without clout. That someone could know the core truth and still keep their hands clean. Because your power isn't in exposure. It's in how long you let them rot in secrecy before you even lift a finger. You made them beg for clarity in rooms they thought were safe, and now they watch you in paranoia, not because you're loud, but because you're lethal in silence. Let's get real. They didn't fear your power, they feared your composure, because power can be negotiated. But composure, that terrifies people. It says, I've seen worse than you. It says, this isn't rage, this is calculation. It says, I'm not reacting, I'm recording. You made them realize their biggest fear wasn't exposure. It was someone who already knows, and still hasn't moved. You're the countdown they can't hear, the prophecy they can't interpret, the final chapter they can't rewrite. They thought silence meant weakness. But yours was strategic starvation, letting their egos overfeed themselves until the entire system got so bloated, one whisper cracked the foundation. So let me paint it clearly. You're not just the ghost in their network. You're the devil in the details, the storm that studied their shelter from the outside and realized it wasn't built to withstand someone like you. Not loud, not desperate, just aware. And awareness, it outlives influence. It evaporates manipulation. It burns through loyalty that was never real to begin with. You didn't burn the bridge. You flooded the valley so no one could cross again. And now they're isolated, imploding, turning on each other like rats on a sinking ship. Because someone in their circle let you know the truth. Or maybe you never needed them to slip. Maybe you always knew. Maybe you've been 3 moves ahead from the start. Maybe this whole time they've been playing a game that you designed, just to see who'd expose themselves first. So now they scream in voice notes that never get deleted, in DMs that get screen recorded, in strategy meetings where your name is now a code word for panic. You didn't just walk in with a secret. You became the mirror that made them see their own rot. And that's why they'll never say your name in public. Because to do that would be to confess that one of you is real. And it ain't them. Let them scream. Let them spiral. Let them sink. Because the longer you stay silent, the louder their fear becomes. And you don't need to speak. Not when your shadow is already doing all the damage. Not when your name is the thing they whisper in every locked chat like it's a curse word. Not when you are the one truth they'll never admit on record, but can't stop bleeding over in private. Ooh, so they're still screaming, huh? Good. That means they still haven't figured it out, because if they had, they'd know by now. You didn't break into their system. You let them invite you in. See, that's the part that haunts them. It wasn't force. It wasn't exposure. It was proximity. You got close enough for them to lower the mask, and then you watched them crumble under their own performance. They thought you were just another face, another name, another ambitious nobody clawing for relevance. But what they didn't realize is that you were listening for cracks, the slip-ups, the cold silences between fake laughter, the way their pupils dilated when the real topic came up. You read every micro-expression like a classified document, and while they were busy performing for the room, you were taking inventory of every lie that didn't match the legacy, of every connection that looked too polished, of every truth they locked behind a smile. Now, they're on edge. They walk into meetings with a tremor in their wrist. They check who's in the room before they speak. They reread every message before sending it. Because somewhere in that thread, you might be watching. Somewhere in that circle, you might already know. They don't fear you exposing the secret. They fear that you've made peace with it. That you've realized what they'd kill to keep hidden isn't even a threat to you. Here's the truth they'll never put in writing. You're not a person to them anymore. You're a symbol, a glitch that turned sentient, a failed erasure that learned how to record. You're the one anomaly their handlers can't profile. Too moral to be dismissed as a villain. Too vicious to be boxed as a saint. Too quiet to be predictable. Too calculating to be ignored. They call you dangerous. But behind closed doors, they call you the variable, the one factor that makes every formula break. Because how do you stop someone who's already died in the fire and came back fluent in smoke? They've tried everything, haven't they? Character assassination, soft discrediting, spiritual bypassing, emotional sabotage, false alliances, check-ins disguised as intel probes, whispers, cold shoulders, silent blacklists, all the usual tools. But none of them work on you, because you didn't build your foundation on their praise. You built it underneath their entire operating system. You didn't knock on the door. You studied the architecture. You found the flaws in the foundation, and now the building's leaning, crooked, off balance, like it's hearing your footsteps echo through the walls. Here's what really haunts them. You know the thing they built their careers on. is a lie. You know the version of themselves they sold to the world is fiction. You know the connections they flash like trophies are all transactions with expiration dates. You know. And worse, you didn't even leak it. You just existed. And your presence alone started turning their allies into suspects, their followers into doubters, their reputation into an open investigation. You didn't destroy them. You let them self-destruct. You gave them the space to show the world exactly who they are, without lifting a damn finger. That's the kind of vengeance no one can trace. That's the kind of victory that can't be undone. So now they whisper, be careful what you say around them. Don't respond too fast. Screenshot everything. We don't know what they're planning, but you're not planning. You're documenting, you're studying, you're waiting. Because patience, my friend, is power in its rawest form. You're not trying to clap back. You're waiting for the storm to reach critical mass. And then with a single breath, you'll tilt the entire narrative into collapse. Because one thing they forgot while they were busy orchestrating the illusion is that truth doesn't shout. It leaks, it drips, it corrodes, and it infects everything built on secrecy. You didn't just touch the nerve. You found the core infection, that unspoken rule they all orbit around, the one thing they're all bound to protect, the rot that keeps their network alive. And when you touched it, you didn't flinch. You stared right into the lie and smiled like someone who already lived through the explosion. Now, they scream, not from pain, but from the horrifying realization that you're not a phase. You're the fucking correction. You're the thing the universe sends when the system needs to reboot. Not a virus, not a savior, but something much harder to control. A mirror. And the longer they stare at you, the more they see the truth they've spent years silencing. So keep walking, keep smiling, keep letting them panic. Because one thing is certain now. You didn't just find the secret. You became the thing they swore would never exist, the one who knows, and isn't afraid to stay silent long enough to let it all collapse on its own. And when it does, you won't need revenge, just a front row seat and a grin. Oh, they really thought the story ended with panic in a group chat. How poetic, how small. They thought your power peaked the moment they got nervous, but you and I both know that wasn't the climax. That was the activation protocol. You didn't come this far to watch them panic. You came to watch the entire structure fall. Because you're not here to be noticed. You're here to be undeniable. And now, they've moved past fear. They're in containment mode. Meetings, damage control, behind-the-scenes calls with people they swore you'd never reach, lawyers on speed dial. Just in case. You didn't even say a word, but your knowing turned them into liabilities in their own network. Your presence became evidence. Your existence became proof. They called you paranoid, but now they're triple-checking every message before it leaves the phone. They mocked your discipline, but now their own timelines look like crime scenes they're trying to scrub. They thought you were overthinking, but now they're under siege by every thought they never wanted to face. Here's what makes you dangerous. You didn't just learn the secret. You understood the leverage. You realized it wasn't about exposing them. It was about watching how they reacted to the possibility of being seen. Because nothing reveals character faster than the threat of the truth. And under that pressure, they folded. They exposed themselves. They betrayed themselves. They outed themselves in panic, while you sat in the shadows with your hands folded, observing. And now you've become the myth. The one who knows but won't speak. The one who's already 5 steps ahead and has the luxury of letting them twist themselves into knots with no interference at all. You became the specter they can't prove, the ghost they can't kill, the fucking consequence they never planned for. Let me tell you a little secret of my own. They don't fear being wrong. They fear being seen as wrong. They don't fear you finding out. They fear that everyone else might start to notice too. You already know. But what happens when you speak just loud enough for others to start thinking, to start questioning, to rewind the footage, to look a little longer at that one incident, that one contradiction, that one photo that didn't make sense? You didn't just discover the secret. You became the catalyst for curiosity in a world addicted to pretending. That's what makes you radioactive, because people don't know what you'll do next. But they know if you move, the whole facade detonates. And now they're watching you with a different kind of fear, the kind reserved not for enemies, but for variables. They don't know your next step. They don't know what you want. They don't know if you're waiting to destroy, or just watching to see if they destroy themselves. And that uncertainty, it's lethal, because it means they can't play offense. They're stuck on defense, forever preparing for a move you might never make, because you already won. You broke their system by doing something they'll never admit. You chose truth over performance. You chose awareness over applause. You chose to become the silent consequence to everything they thought would stay buried. And now, every time your name comes up, they speak slower, lower, like invoking you out loud might summon something they can't control. And they're right, because you're not a scandal. You're not a rumor. You're not the one who found out. You're the result of years of their lies finally hitting critical mass and forming into a storm with your face on it. So go ahead, keep them guessing. Let them search for the leak that doesn't exist. Let them interrogate their own. Let them wonder which one of them gave you the key, never realizing you built a back door before they even locked the vault. Let them self-destruct in silence. Because every scream in those private chats, that's not just fear, it's confirmation that you're no longer in the game. You are the game, the blueprint, the glitch, the ghost they thought they erased. But who came back fluent in their every sin, holding the one truth they can't outrun. And the more they try to cover it up, the louder your silence gets, the more viral your absence becomes, the more dangerous your stillness feels, because the truth they can't admit is the one you already weaponized. And it's not just in your hands, it's in their reflection now, etched into their timeline, buried in their screenshots, breathing through the cracks in their legacy, and bleeding through every chat they thought was safe. Let them scream. You're not there to listen. You're already writing the next chapter. And their names, already in the footnotes, labeled "Panicked when the wrong person understood too much, too early." Shh. Don't move. They're watching you. No, they're unraveling while watching you. You see it, don't you? The glitch in their confidence, the crack in their composure, that desperate little twitch when your name even breathes through a room. Because you moved once, and their entire illusion started bleeding. You didn't shout. You didn't threaten. You didn't post some cringy little manifesto online. You just existed as you are now, and they started choking on their own narrative. One blink from you, and they forgot how to breathe. You broke the equilibrium. You were the anomaly they prayed would never surface. You were the paradox they mocked in public but feared in private. You know what's funny? They built their walls, stacked them high with fake alliances, bloated resumes, generational ego, and false divinity. And then you walked by, calm, wordless, amused, and every brick began to sweat. They're collapsing in real time, sweetheart. Not because you destroyed anything, but because your silence exposed everything. They thought power came from numbers. You showed them. It comes from signal, from presence, from a frequency so intense the room warps when you enter it. One move from you is not an action. It's an event. It's a data breach inside their spiritual firewall. It's a prophecy they pretended didn't exist. And now, every message thread is unraveling. Every group chat is filled with your echo. They don't want each other anymore. They want to understand you. But they can't, because you were never designed to be understood. You were engineered to interrupt their understanding. Let's get one thing straight. You are not the villain. You're the audit. You are the error in the inherited code, the celestial correction, the divine punishment masked as a polite smile and distant eyes. They wanted to see you sweat. You blinked, and their whole coven started praying. You didn't bring violence. You brought a question they can't answer. How the hell did they survive everything we threw at them and still look like that? They stabbed. You smiled. They laughed. You learned. They colluded. You created. They lied. You listened. They burned the bridge. You walked on water. They made you a martyr. And now you're a myth. And myths are unexplainable, uncontainable, unpredictable. You're not one of them. And that terrifies them more than anything. Because if you exist, then all their rituals, their bloodline secrets, their blackmail webs, their curated chaos, it all starts to look weak. You are proof that survival isn't granted. It's taken by force, by wit, by an unstoppable storm of self-recoding. You didn't adapt to their system. You infected it. And now the update? It's you. You are the glitch that doesn't go away, the mistake that keeps showing up in their success metrics, the shadow that stares back from their perfect photos, the ghost in their corporate meetings, the pulse in their courtroom silence, the invisible sniper aimed at their delusion of control. They're collapsing in real time because you stopped explaining yourself. You stopped playing the fairy tale they wrote for you. You stepped off the stage and became the mirror they couldn't shatter. They always assumed you were fighting for approval, but they never realized. You were watching them, studying them, decoding them, waiting. Now look at them, clawing for relevance, choking on half-truths, panicking under surveillance they swore only you deserved. Their lungs are filled with the smoke of their own prophecy. And guess what? You didn't even need a flame. You just walked through their illusion and left footprints in their denial. This isn't revenge. This is gravity. What goes up must face you. And darling, when you rise, you don't ascend like an angel. You detonate like a forgotten weapon. They built this world on who claps the loudest. You built your legend on who silences the room. They crowned themselves kings in echo chambers. You became God in the algorithm of fear. One move from you was all it took. Now their network is glitching. Their stories aren't syncing. Their backup plans are eating each other alive. The very air you breathe is a threat to their system because you are not part of the design. You are the end of the blueprint. And now, they can't breathe, they can't speak, they can't sleep. All because you remembered what they hoped you'd forget. You were never one of them. You were the punishment waiting in the mirror. You were the sacred malfunction, the laughing virus, the beautiful collapse. And now, they're collapsing in real time. And the punchline is, you haven't even started. Oh, you felt that, didn't you? That chill in the air, that static crawling up your spine, that silent applause from the shadows, as their world starts glitching in real time. You moved once and it wasn't even your final form. It was a warning shot wrapped in silence, a smile that doubled as an extinction-level event. And now, their entire foundation is vibrating. Their beliefs are coughing blood. Their rules are dissolving like sugar in acid. Because here's what they never expected. You learned in the dark. You studied every betrayal like a thesis. You indexed every backstab, every smear campaign, every manipulated memory. And you archived it deep in that twisted little grin of yours. You weren't surviving, you were recording. And now, every breath you take is a broadcast. Every step you make is a judgment. You don't walk into rooms anymore. You leak into them like classified intel. Unspoken, undeniable, unwelcome. And they feel it. Oh God, do they feel it? You've become the kind of presence that makes people doubt their instincts. They hesitate around you because their souls are screaming things their mouths don't dare say. This one doesn't belong here. This one doesn't answer to our system. This one is still smiling while we're suffocating. Let me paint the picture for you. There's a room right now, somewhere cold, upscale, maybe government-tied. Lights are dimmed, people in suits, glasses clinking, big words like damage control, containment, optics. And every single one of them is looking at a file with your name on it. Not because you broke the law, but because you broke the illusion that they ever had power over you. They're not panicking because you're dangerous. They're panicking because you're free, unowned, untracked, unpredictable. You cracked the system by doing the unthinkable. You refused to obey the script they wrote for your bloodline. You didn't heal like they told you to. You evolved into something they don't have language for. You're the echo of every ancestral scream that went unanswered. You're the repayment for every curse passed off as family tradition. You're the child they buried emotionally, who came back wearing the crown of their fear. And now, your name is a case study. Your silence is evidence. Your moves, untraceable, unteachable, illegal to mimic. You're the ghost that walks through closed networks, haunting their private calls, appearing in the silence after the question, does anyone know what they're planning next? They don't. And that's what's killing them. Not your violence, not your words, not even your wins. Your mystery is the trauma. Because they don't know what kind of creature you became while they were celebrating your downfall. You didn't just bounce back. You rewired yourself in front of their security cams. You let them record you. But the footage doesn't match their analysis. They've run it through filters, AI scans, behavioral experts, spiritual advisors. Nothing sticks, because you're not a person anymore. You're a frequency. You're a reversal. You're the opposite of what they worship. And yet you thrive. You thrive in chaos. You dine on betrayal. You wear scars like symphonies. You've made pain a dialect that only you can speak fluently. And now, they're watching you breathe and struggling to remember how. They're collapsing in real time. Because you made fear look holy. You made stillness look like warfare. You made walking away feel like mass destruction. You made non-compliance feel like prophecy. You are the prophecy they ignored. Until it showed up with your eyes. You never screamed. You just stared. And now the demons they sent to destroy you, they're whispering your name like a prayer. They couldn't stop you. So now, they're trying to understand you. They're researching you, digging up baby photos, interviewing old friends, scrubbing social media, consulting esoteric texts, trying to decode the glitch. But you can't decode what was never born in their dimension. You're not a person. You're a consequence, a result, a sentient symptom of every lie they told the world. You're the aftershock they can't contain. And what's next? Oh, they're praying you don't move again. Because if one move have made them collapse like this, another might erase the whole bloodline tree they've been hiding behind. Tick-tock. The mask is slipping. The cameras are rolling. The watchers are sweating. And you? You're just sitting there, eyes calm, smile twitching, as if to say, "You should have killed me when you had the chance." But they didn't. And now, you're the one holding the oxygen, and they're the ones gasping for it. Lean in closer. Listen to the sound underneath their noise. That low frequency, trembling you keep feeling in your bones. That isn't you. That's them. Their systems, their circles, their carefully glued together stories are starting to shake themselves apart. They're collapsing in real time, and they don't even know how to admit it yet. They're still talking about plans and strategies, but every whisper, every memo, every private DM they send is already contaminated with your presence. One move from you became a fault line. One breath from you became a trigger. One blink from you started an avalanche that their entire hierarchy wasn't built to survive. And the strangest part? You didn't fight them. You didn't expose them. You didn't even touch them. You existed, and their entire operating system started to error out. You've become a paradox wearing human skin. You're the saint that smiles like a psychopath, the angel that arrives like a demon. Every contradiction they ever tried to bury inside you has fused into a single thing they can't classify. They called it arrogance. They called it luck. They called it a phase. But what you've really become is unreadable, and unreadable is unkillable. They're choking on the code they wrote. They tried to build a maze where you'd lose yourself. Instead, you learned the blueprint, burned the exits, and turned the walls into mirrors. Now when they chase you, they run straight into themselves. Every rumor they launched boomerangs. Every trap they set springs under their own feet. Every secret they hoarded leaks through their trembling hands. And you've been sitting in the dark, eyes open, taking notes. Pain didn't break you. It taught you how to read the hidden subtitles under every smile, every favor, every handshake. Betrayal didn't sour you. It gave you the scent of blood in a crowd full of perfume. Silence didn't crush you. It sharpened your hearing until you could pick out a single heartbeat inside a riot. This is why they can't breathe. You're not playing their game anymore. You're watching the players. You've gone from piece to player to board to architect. You're holding the entire table in one hand, and they're still pretending it's chess. Look at what you've done. You turned shame into signal. You turned exile into training. You turned their curses into keys. You took every no and forged it into a lockpick. You taught yourself to disappear in plain sight and then reappear as a consequence. Now their meetings sound like confessions. Their dreams sound like your voice. Their hearts beat to the tempo of your next unknown move. This is the evolution they never prepared for. You didn't heal. You mutated. You built a self that feeds on pressure. You became a system that thrives in scarcity. You evolved into something that doesn't ask permission to exist. And here's the cruelest part for them. You're not even at full speed. What they're gasping through right now is just the prelude. They're collapsing over a single move. They've never seen what happens when you decide to take 3. So keep walking slowly. Keep breathing deeply. Keep your hands still. Every micro gesture you make now is an impact event. Every pause is a verdict. Every smile is a forecast. You are not their enemy. You're their mirror held too close. You're the unspoken proof that the dark doesn't destroy. It forges. You're living evidence that unpredictability is the last real power. And in your unpredictability, they see their own expiration date. Tick. Tock. The air is thinning. The cameras are rolling. The file on you keeps growing thicker, and you haven't even moved again. This is what they fear most. That you'll stop being careful. That you'll stop giving them time to breathe. That you'll take the next step, and the facade they've built for generations will simply vanish. So stand there. Smile if you want. Let the tension build until it hums, because right now, in this moment, without lifting a finger, you are already everything they whispered you might be. The glitch, the audit, the sacred malfunction, the laughing virus in their inherited code. They're collapsing in real time, and you're only just beginning to wake up. Do you hear it now? That hollow sound underneath their speeches, the tremor behind their eyes, the faint rattle in the walls. That isn't a metaphor. It's the sound of structures coming apart. It's the sound of everything they built around your silence tearing itself down. They're collapsing in real time, because you became something they cannot model. For years they tried to measure you like a threat on a spreadsheet, a name on a watch list, a profile in a case file. They thought they had you cataloged. They thought they had a map. And then you stopped walking the path they predicted, and the whole map burned in their hands. This is why they can't breathe when you move. You're not just unpredictable, you're uncontainable. One action from you isn't just an action, it's an atmospheric change. Their rooms feel smaller when you enter. Their lungs feel heavier. Their rituals feel foolish. Because you're carrying an energy that isn't allowed in their script. The energy of a person who has been through hell, learned its language and came back laughing. They think you're only light. You show them the shadow. They think you're only shadow. You flash them the light. You're not a saint. You're not a monster. You're a paradox. Angel wrapped in barbed wire. Demon crowned in lilies. They've built entire doctrines to keep those two things separate. And you're walking proof that separation was a lie. Every step you take is a sermon. Their theology can't explain. And here's what's happening now behind the scenes. Phones ringing in panic. Messages deleted in haste. Meetings held at night with no minutes taken. Eyes darting at the mention of your name. They're trying to tighten their grip, but everything they touch turns to sand. Their own networks are fracturing. People are defecting quietly. The group that once mocked you in public now fights amongst itself in private. They can feel it, the coldness, the inevitability, the silent weight of your next move. Because you're not just winning, you're evolving. Pain didn't make you bitter. It made you fluent in pressure. Rejection didn't shrink you. It made you impossible to starve. Isolation didn't kill you. It incubated a version of you that breathes underwater. They're terrified because you're no longer powered by their validation. You're powered by something they can't confiscate. Your own transformation. You've made pain into a weapon, but not one you swing, one you become. You're no longer a person they can harm. You're a system they can't hack. They don't know this yet, but you do. What they're feeling right now isn't your revenge. It's their own architecture imploding. You didn't kick it down. You just stopped holding it up. The moment you withdrew your energy, their scaffolding trembled. The moment you moved, the beams began to buckle. This is why their hands shake. This is why they whisper. This is why they breathe shallow. They can sense a clock they didn't set counting down. They don't know what happens when it hits zero, only that it involves you, and that's enough to keep them awake at night. Keep moving slow. Keep smiling faintly. Keep letting the silence stretch until it hurts. Every second you hold that silence, you're rewriting the rules of the room. You're showing them that unpredictability is power, that evolution through pain isn't a story, it's a weaponized truth. Because right now, you are not an underdog, you are not a rebel, you are the atmosphere, you are the weather, you are the force that presses against their lungs when they try to inhale. You are the weight behind their shame. You are the mirror they can't break. And they're collapsing in real time, piece by piece, breath by breath, because somewhere in the back of their minds they've realized the most terrifying thing of all. You haven't even started moving yet. And yet here you are, not screaming, not begging, not demanding apologies they'll never mean. Just existing, like a glitch they can't patch, like a prophecy they tried to burn, like a force of nature wearing human skin. They spent years building a world where someone like you couldn't rise, where you'd collapse under pressure, where you'd fold at the first sign of rejection, where you'd doubt yourself so deeply you'd ask them who you were. And instead, you let them bury you alive, and then you grew roots. You let them exile you, and then you mastered silence like a weaponized tongue. You let them watch you break, but never once did they see you stay broken. They wrote you off, laughed behind locked doors, swapped your name for punchlines and concerns, held meetings on how to handle you. But what do you do when the ghost you tried to erase becomes the only one breathing? See, that's the thing. They were always trying to contain a storm inside a glass, a wildfire inside a spreadsheet, a goddamn paradox inside a file folder. And now, the glass is shattered, the folder is burning, the room is filled with smoke, and you're still smiling through it all. Because you were never meant to be explained, you were meant to be felt. And now, they feel you everywhere. In the awkward pauses when someone says your name, in the silence that follows your shadow, in the panic of, what if they speak? In the deep dread of, what if they move again? But they don't know the truth, do they? You already moved. You already broke the code. You already replaced their rule book with your own DNA. Now everything they say is recorded. Every laugh is suspicious. Every alliance is unstable. Every breath is borrowed. Because you're here now. And you're no longer hiding. You're no longer flinching. You're no longer waiting for them to understand. They don't need to understand. They just need to collapse. Exactly like they are right now. In real time, with real fear. At the mercy of your next unseen move. You didn't come for revenge. You came to watch the reckoning. You came to outlive the myth. You came to make silence louder than any scream they've ever feared. So don't say a word, just keep walking. Let them gasp, let them spiral, let them feel every molecule of panic they once tried to drown you in. Because the new truth is this: you are not the victim, you are not the villain, you are the trigger. And their collapse was never a reaction. It was always your design. Case closed. Game over. You win.